Hey guys, welcome back as always to the Golf Podcast. This is episode number 359. Today we're going to talk about an important but overlooked often, especially by more amateur players such as ourselves, the 3-wood. We're going to talk about how you can hit it a lot more crisp, especially from those fairway lies. And that will help you, especially on those long par 5s and things like that, or types where longer par 4 where you're trying to hit the green, whatever it may be. It was an underutilized club in my bag for a long time, Mike. And what I'm hoping from this is that other people can utilize the club a little bit more.
Definitely. I mean, it's just 2 years ago. It was probably the least used club in my bag. Now it's becoming one of the most used. I love it. I'm going to start maybe instituting it more off the tee this year if I can control it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Some of these shorter par 4s. So we shall see.
And the question becomes, like, why is it so underused? Well, often it is a club that's tough to hit cleanly, especially if you don't have the right technique. So we're going to talk about a couple of different things you can do with your setup, with your strategy, so that you can get a cleaner strike. And then as that eventually will lead to higher usage.
I think hitting a 3-wood off the turf is one of the hardest shots in the game.
Yeah, it's a difficult shot. It really is. And we'll talk about all the reasons why. And of course, one thing we want to say, and we've got a lot of new viewers and listeners, for anybody who's new to the show, we're not professional instructors. We are not professional golfers. We're guys who love learning the game and sharing that. And as part of that, we make a lot of these mistakes. 3-woods, if you guys have watched some of our videos, I'm sure you've seen us hit a couple of bad 3-woods, that's for sure. But each bad shot is a learning experience. So as we learn those things, we try to bring some of that to you guys here each week. So we're going to talk about that in a second. We're also going to talk about our Twitter tap-in, but just a couple things going on from around Golficity. One thing I'll say, a lot of you have asked about this hat in particular, and we've heard you. So I actually got this hat from
Sharp.
became one of my favorite hats over the last couple of weeks. I got this from a company called McEwen Golf Co. And we're actually working directly with them to get some of these and potentially a couple different colors into our own shop. So if it's something that you like, you might want one of, let us know. Drop a comment below, because we're going to definitely try to get them into the store and get them for you guys, because I like some of this stuff that's that more casual, like you can transition from the course to like just going out.
That lifestyles.
Right, exactly. So this one's been a fun one, but a lot of you did ask, especially last week in the episode I saw, or maybe it was the week before, just tells me I'm wearing the same hat all the time.
And that's a good point.
Drop them in the comments.
I love the Titleist, like the hat I'm wearing now, like on the course, because it's mesh, it's breathable, it's great out on the course. But then like you said, you're going off to that backyard barbecue party, and I don't want to dress like I'm on the course. Maybe I'll just switch it and I'll put on something like that. It still shows that I love golf and all that great stuff. And plus, love the corduroy.
Yeah, me too.
I love the corduroy.
It's something different. Cool. But merch has been something that's been on our minds for a long time. A lot of you guys have been asking for it. So it is a big goal. We talked a couple weeks ago about our 2021 goals. It's a big goal of ours to get some more out there and just have some fun with it. That's really what it comes down to.
That's right, man.
And by the way, speaking of other things going on, you just got off with Michael Breed on Sirius XM. So let everybody know who wants to tune in when they can hear you.
Right. So absolutely. This new thing we're doing this year, guys, we've been blessed. Michael Breed, you've probably seen him, Golf Channel instructor. He was the swing fix guy. He's been on behind the booth, for some events, things like that. And just a coach, great coach, and works locally, lives locally. And he brought us on to he's bringing us onto his show every Wednesday, in that 9 a.m. hour, 9:15, 9:30 Eastern time. So if you're in your car, or however you listen to your Sirius XM radio, tune into PGA Tour Radio Channel 92 around that hour. I'll usually promote it like the day before on social, what time we're going on. And we just talk tour. So if you're tour junkies, you love PGA Tour golf, you fantasy, betting, things like that, we just shoot the breeze about different players, who we like this week, and all that fun stuff.
Shoot the breed.
Shoot the breed. I like that.
Yeah, Michael's a great guy. He's a lot of fun to talk to. As you said, he's got such energy.
He's got a lot of energy.
I'd
love to steal some of that energy.
That's for sure.
Yep.
So other things that we've got going on, we've been trying to use some of this time indoors here to do a little bit more product reviews. I can't wait to get back out on the course. It's funny enough, just this upcoming week would be normally when we're traveling to Florida for the PGA show. Unfortunately, that's all been moved to virtual this year. And usually that's kind of where we get to scratch that winter itch and play a little bit of golf down in Florida. this year that's not happening, but we'll be back on the course as soon as we can. In the interim, we're here in the studio and we're going to be doing some more product reviews. Again, part of that is going to be just trying to highlight stuff that we're using to work on our own game and stuff that we think that can benefit you guys. There's a couple of different things we're going to be doing for weight and balance. We did Salted the other day. We're working on getting that video out. Also Body Track. It's a swing mat, similar type of concept. Some putting stuff, which putting I think is one of the best things that you can work on through the winter. So we're going to be working with Eyeline Putting Aid. We're going to take a look at that. And the other thing, I mean, I've even been doing this. I've been trying to, I found that the worst thing for my golf game is to not put in the swings throughout the winter.
Right.
It just takes me forever to get rid of the rust after that, to get back out there swinging. So I've been trying to put some swings in at home wherever I can. I've been actually swinging in my basement. And if you follow me on my Instagram, at Frank Fasano Jr., I've been trying to use that time to just informally show you guys some of the stuff that I've been using. I was working with the hanger the other day. Have you used this
When'd
thing
you
at
pick
all?
that thing up?
Believe it or not, the company, I think it's Watson Golf, who does the hanger, sent us that. It dates back,
that's
back when
right.
I was living the previous house. So, I mean, it's got to be at least 3-4 years ago.
Wow.
They sent us that. And it just it was right at that time I was moving. It got shuffled into the move and got in a box somewhere. And I was thinking the other day, I'm like, I was working on, again, that swing plane and getting more shallowed out. And one thing I love is that PlaneMate Tour Striker.
Yeah.
I use that pretty regularly. You guys have seen me use the impact bag regularly. But I'm like, I want something that I love things that give me that physical feedback. I'm like, I know I've got one of those hangers somewhere. So I dug around. I found it and I threw it on an old club because, you can take it on and off, but it's good just to have.
Right. It just clips on, right?
It just clips on. It stays on there securely. But what I like about it too is that you don't need the device. You can do the same thing with just a hanger. So again, we could cover it more in another episode, but just Google search like hanger, golf drills, and you can see some of the benefits. But I was working with that, and I was just kind of going over it in my story for anybody who might be able to benefit from the same, because if you've got a similar swing flaw to me, that might help you.
Dude, if I take a divot with that thing, could we call it a hanger steak? Boom, boom, boom. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I've been watching your stories, man. It's inspiring, because shoot, should I go down to the basement and take a couple practice swings now? You know what I mean?
And everyone says, Frank, how tall are your basements? I'm like, well, first of all, two things, guys. One, I'm short. And secondly, I literally, a wedge, my shortest wedge is the only club I can swing down there, and it barely makes it. And it took a while trusting it, but I can get a full swing down there, hit some wiffle balls. But let me tell you something, if I hit anything more than a wedge, we're in trouble.
Yeah, yep.
All right, before we do this week's Twitter tap-in, of course, we want to thank our sponsor, Titleist. And guys, we're excited to share with you guys some exclusive opportunities from Titleist, but to be a part of them, you have to join Team Titleist. But here's the good news. It is free to join. And Team Titleist gives you access to opportunities like prototype testing, special events, limited edition gear from Titleist, that TT, really cool logo that you see on some of the gear. All that comes from Team Titleist. There's so much more. So make sure you guys sign up, join us on the team, on Team Titleist. Go to Titleist.com/Team Titleist. That's one word, Team Titleist. Like I said, you'll see in that registration, it's free to do so. And it's a fun thing. It's a fun thing to be part of the team and get early access, especially when they send out those prototype balls. How cool is that?
It is cool. And a great segue, because I wanted to mention that today is January 17th, the date we're releasing this episode. 4 days from now, this Thursday, the 21st, we're going to be releasing our 2021 Pro V1, Pro V1X fitting video.
Yes.
And we're giving away a year's supply of golf balls.
How cool
is that? A year's supply, guys. So get over there, go to YouTube, turn on the notifications, be ready for it. It's going to be huge.
Year supply of Pro V1 or Pro V1.
That's so cool.
And I'm excited with the new ball, but we'll be able to talk about it more, and we'll talk about it more on future episodes. But just stay tuned, as Mike said, for that video this week. All right, now let's talk about this week's Twitter tap-in. And the Twitter tap-in, again,
it's going to make me hungry, man.
It's going to make you hungry, but it's something we do fun every week on Twitter. Make sure you're following us at Golficity so you can be a part of the conversation. We're going to throw a question out there to you guys each week, and we're going to highlight some of our favorite answers here and give some of the answers of our own. So on this week's Twitter tap-in, we asked, what is your go-to snack at the turn? Is it a burger, a hot dog, energy bar, something else? What is your go-to snack at the turn? What are you saying?
I'm just laughing because the first one I laid eyes on, Curtis Cole, it's without question the 7-layer dip flavored combos. Very
No
specific.
hesitation.
No hesitation.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
And from playing so many times with Ronnie, I know what his answer would be. Ronnie
dog.
from Inside
He's
the Leather.
hot dog at the turn?
Hot
Yeah,
dog.
absolutely.
At
He
the
loves a
turn.
good dog.
He is quite the connoisseur when it comes to hot dogs. What about yourself? What are you reaching for at the turn?
I'm not a foodie at the turn. No burgers, no dogs, nothing to weigh me down.
Yeah.
That would be just a bad back nine. I'm a protein bar guy, a Cliff Bar, something with some protein, 15, 20 grams, something thick. I call it like the thick brick protein bar.
Yeah.
Because that'll last me 2 to 3 hours. Hunger will just disappear.
Yeah. And
Stamina will be there.
I don't blame you. I mean, unless the turn falls right midday, like lunch,
Yeah, that
then I
depends
might.
on
But I
time,
agree.
right.
I mean, it just, I don't know.
I can't even do that. I can't even break at a 12 o'clock turn and have lunch and then finish like some of these guys do with it.
Yeah, you
I
feel
can't
like you
do
break your momentum.
Once I break, I'm done.
Like I'm in a different zone when I'm eating. Like if I'm in there eating a burger,
Yeah.
I want to like at the end of my round sit
Exactly.
down, decompress, eat a burger.
Exactly. We're always walking from 9 to 10, reaching in our bag, taking out a protein bar. Like there's
Right.
no stop.
Right. I'll usually throw either a protein bar, a banana, something like that in the bag. That's what gets me through. But like you said, I'm going for a protein bar and a water, something like that at a turn. Unless it's those really informal, fun rounds. Maybe I'll grab a beer. But one thing that I do remember, when we were in Scotland, and I just remember playing the 36 a day. So there was always 2 turns, right?
2 turns.
So 36 a day, and also still dealing with the jet lag of the time change. Just the go-to was coffee.
That's it.
Do you remember the coffee we had at the turn at King's Barnes?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good.
It was good.
Hot I mean, sometimes that.
Styrofoam cup.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was good.
Sometimes that's the exact pick.
And it was a beautiful, like 75. It was like a hot day, but we needed coffee.
Right.
Just to get through.
So let's see what some other people here say. Firthy says Snickers. Don't blame you there. I like that.
Snickers is good.
A little sugar, to get you going, and a little bit of, peanuts and things like that. I'm still laughing about the 7-layer dip flavor.
That's just great. I'm seeing a lot of the same, like peanut butter and jelly does the trick. I mean, Eddie from Main Course. If you guys haven't seen Main Course, go check him out. He likes to cover the best food at all the golf courses.
Yeah.
So this is right up his alley. He said PB&J or chocolate covered almonds for Eddie.
PB&J. I don't think I've ever seen a golf course serving peanut butter and jellies.
No, I think he's just making it and just shoving it in
Oh,
his bag.
okay.
I hope so. He's not going there asking for a PB&J.
I would say-
Have you gone anywhere and ordered a PB&J?
No,
I don't think
no.
anyone has had.
Yeah.
I hope not. What
Here,
else?
look at this one. Mark Clayton. I hope he's joking. 2 shots of Jaeger, a beer, and a 3-day-old hot dog.
He's probably right about that 3-day-old hot dog.
Oh my God.
And
2
then-
shots of Jaeger and a beer, and just forget it. I'm not making it to 10.
Yep. Here comes all the alcohol. We got beer from Nicholas Jeffrey. Kurt Sturgeon says, Captain Morgan, fetch me the rum. Guys, is it that bad out there?
Look at Ben Dumb. He says, I get a Snickers. He goes, I love hot dogs, but I always butcher 10 through 13 if I eat a hot dog. With a Snickers, I can usually keep it together.
Oh, I love that. Kyle says beef jerky and a local craft beer. All right. It's very specific.
There you go.
Shot of, what is this? Ouzo? Did I say this right?
Which one is it?
O-U-Z-O. I don't know what that is. I hope I'm right.
Ouzo.
Shot of Ouzo.
Now, ouzo, isn't that the a Greek liquor?
Could be.
Maybe I'm wrong. You guys, if you're jumping down our throats that we're wrong, just throw us in the comments.
Like
what
it's a
it
shot
is.
of Ouzo, a pack of Red Man Chew tobacco, and followed by a Natty Ice. I mean,
Jeez.
that's a combination for a
That's the
terrible
grave
day.
digger combination.
grave digger.
Put me in the grave. Let's see here.
I love Michael's the uncrustable peanut butter and honey.
We've got quite the peanut butter and jelly audience, huh? And Joe Woke says, I want a hamburger, no cheeseburger. I want a hot dog. I want a milkshake. I want potato chips.
I want.
Yeah. Great.
That's all the stuff we want.
Right. But yeah, I mean, again, you guys can always still chime in on Twitter Tapping or drop your comments below. I always think it's interesting to see what different people go for, but I feel like no matter where you go, especially at least in this country, I mean, overseas it changes, but the turn, it's always like the same things.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've got some sodas, some, a couple different, it's seemingly the same, bars, granola bars.
Same.
Like everywhere you go.
Yeah. I want people to switch it up. I want to see more food out in the carts on courses. I want people to have grills, tailgate grills. Let's get nuts.
You know what I like? I might tailgate grills. Yeah, but then, like you said earlier, we're not gonna, gonna be so weighed down.
You're
from
way
eating.
down, 7-hour round. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you what I liked. I liked when we played Baltusrol and they just have those bins of apples.
Yeah.
To me, that's perfection. Apple and a water, because you get that little bit of shot of sugar from the apple, but you also fills you up a little bit.
It's a good Honey Crisp and a little water.
That's it. A Honey Crisp and water. Move on with your day. All right. That's this week's Twitter Tap-In. Let's do a quick word from our sponsors. Then I want to talk about how you guys can hit your 3-wood cleanly from the fairway.
Excellent. So guys, FootJoy, the #1 outerwear brand in golf. It's winter. It's cold. These guys are committed to helping you extend the golf season as long as possible. I don't care where you are in the world. It's going to get cold. So they provide you with the gear to make every day playable. And that doesn't just mean cold. It could mean water, rain, all different kinds of elements. So the new Hydro Series line of rain jackets includes several options that provide the ultimate protection wherever you're teeing it up this fall. So new to their performance lineup is the Hydro Tour rain jacket, my favorite, my go-to. You saw it in my What's in the Bag. This thing is designed to withstand the most extreme weather conditions. Monsoon, Frank, you could play in this jacket. Then you could pull it off after your round and go to your dinner party.
God knows
dry.
where the ball would go in that monsoon.
I know, but at least you'll be dry.
You'd
be dry and you'd be comfortable. So, guys, play more golf this year. Get the gear you need to play in any condition. Visit footjoy.com/MEDP.
Great stuff. All right, let's talk about this through it. And one thing, too, that I want to say definitely weighs into it would be making sure that you've got the right club for you. And I think that is my greatest takeaway so far. All these tips that we're going to talk about are great tips. I've been working on employing them myself. However, what made the biggest change was going and getting fit. Recently, you may have saw our video where we got fit for the new Titleist TSI 3-woods. And it was a real game changer for me. And we've talked here before about how to get the most out of a fitting. And one thing we said was communication, knowing your game and then communicating that to the fitter. And I went in there and I told Kevin, I said, look, I've looked at my shot scope stats. I'm barely using this. And he's like, well, what scenarios or where are you using it? Why do you need the club? Mm-hmm. I told him, and then we were deciding how it really wasn't a match. I wasn't able to get the ball in the air. And what that was causing me to do was I was starting to change my swing, almost feeling like I was hitting a driver off the deck and I needed more help lifting the ball into the air. So Kevin was like, okay, there's a couple things we can do from a club standpoint to help you with that. And one thing was we added a little bit more loft, just a degree or two to the face. And he said that is also going to give you more confidence as you look down. You're going to see a little bit more loft and have a little bit more subconscious confidence that that ball is going to get up in the air without you having to, lift it up or get it up. Additionally, some of the changes just of the center of gravity and things like that with the new club helped. We picked a head that helped launch the ball higher, which helped me out a bit. But a big help for me, and I think this is a part of the reason why it becomes a club that's so hard for so many people to hit, is because of the length of the shaft, right? So obviously the longer the shaft, it's a little bit harder club to hit. But I hit my and I'm so confident with my hybrid. What we ended up doing was going with a similar shaft as in the hybrid and shortening up. And this is another thing you don't always think about, but it's an option that you can do with a good fitter, is going to a slightly shorter shaft length. Mm-hmm. And by doing that, it made me be able to control the club more. It felt more familiar in my hands, closer to my hybrid. So those little bit of adjustments, we'll talk about technique, but don't overlook the fact of some things that you can do with a fitting.
You're absolutely right. I love the idea of shortening. I've done that before because I used to hit my hybrid so well. And of course, we're standing over the ball in the middle of the fairway trying to approach a green, even if you're 240, 250 yards out, it's hard to hit a 3-wood. It's a long shafted club. Like you said, it's not teed up for you in the middle of the fairway. You have to strike that thing just perfect, and that, you can, I feel what I'm trying to say is it's easier to hit your short irons, obviously in, but when you're standing further away from a ball in the middle of the fairway with a longer shafted club, it's going to get hard. And I never trusted it. I'm looking at my shot scope stats from back to 2018, 3% usage on my 3-wood. 2019, I bumped it up to 5%. And then 2020, I was 13%. Yeah. So I'm starting to get more comfortable with this club, and it's leading to better scoring.
Yeah.
You hit this club well, Frank, you're going to score.
No doubt. And I'm interested to see how those stats jump up now that we just got that fitting at the end of last season.
Yeah, this is barely even including the new one. So.
Right. That's barely even including it. So that'll be interesting to see how that kind of jumps up. But undoubtedly, like I said, a fitting is something not to overlook, but it is a difficult club to hit. But it doesn't have to be. I think the main reason why it becomes difficult is that when you have these longer shafted clubs, it's going to expose more so or amplify more so any type of problems you may have in your swing. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, example, a balance issue. So the first thing we're going to talk about is really one big key is you need to stay balanced. And balance is become such a large focus for us.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it here on the show. I'm sure we're going to review it a whole lot more. We've talked about how we've recently been reviewing a lot of balance training aids. I'm really big on these salted insoles that it's just so simple. They go in your shoes. And then what they really do is they show that pressure that you put on the ground, but it shows your weight balance from, left foot, right foot, and things like that. And it starts to really expose some major things. And if you think about it, if you think about the swing as one big circular arc, that arc is obviously going to bottom out in different places depending on your balance. And a good visual for this, if you just like put a hula hoop around yourself and just start swinging it, like just rocking it back and forth and thinking of that as your swing arc and where the bottom of that hula hoop is, the max bottom, and then shift your weight a little bit to your right and shift the weight a little bit to your left. And now think about what that does to the bottoming out of that hula hoop.
Right.
And you'll start to see it moves it. And if you take a club, now replace that idea with that being the bottom of the club, just a slight weight shift, in the wrong direction can cause you to hit behind the ball, which, as we all know, is like, it can be a dramatically bad event when you hit behind the ball with a 3-wood, because you're going to get really chunky. And instead of moving that ball 250 yards down the fairway, you're lucky if you get 50 yards out of it.
Course,
now you're like, now I'm hitting another long club, right? But that can be a big thing. So balance is so important. Really, like I said, the bottom of that swing really needs to match up exactly with the position of the ball. And if your weight is moving around during the swing unnecessarily, you're going to either hit that shot fat or thin. That's just the reality.
Yeah, and going back to one of the many lessons or fittings we've gotten with Kevin Sprecher, when we were talking about balance, one of the things he told me, and this is one of those tips, like we've gotten tons of tips from coaches over the last decade that have stayed and some have just gone. But the one that stayed, Kevin said, when you stand over the ball, he says, you could do it subtly so it's not obvious, so you don't look like a weirdo out there. Jostle your feet just back and forth a little bit to feel the earth below you. If you feel now at that point that you're not leaning forward on your toes or you're not sitting back on your heels and you've got a good solid feel between your below your feet, then you're perfectly balanced. Then take your swing.
Yeah.
And it's amazing because I wasn't taking those 3 to 5 seconds. I would just get up to the ball and I would find myself leaning over too much where all that weight was just pushing into my toes.
Yeah.
So, and that was a huge help in helping me hit the 3-wood. Because I was getting over that ball with my balance like so out of whack, and being able to kind of straighten out that balance a little bit and rotate better, I've been able to hit the 3-wood so much better.
It is amazing to me how much balance is overlooked by newer golfers, and I can say that for a first-person perspective because I had overlooked it for many, many years. Now you start to see when you see guys practicing with no shoes on, things like that, like kind of a low-tech way to really hone in on balance. But it is so true because the other thing is the golf course is designed to be difficult. It's designed to throw you off balance. That's a big part of why there's so many uneven lies. I mean, it's nature. So there's going to be uneven lies out there. And we think of the uneven lies and how it affects the lie angle of our club, but you're also not always thinking about that's going to affect your balance. It's going to throw your body into a slightly different balance. So if you can put a big focus on better balance, you're going to find that your whole golf game and your ball striking is going to improve. It doesn't matter the club that's in your hand, but with clubs like 3-wood that really require such a clean, crisp contact to really make a great shot, they're not as forgiving as, let's say, a 7-iron might be. In certain ways. Obviously, they're designed completely different, but if you get that balance, you're going to get better through the bag. But one thing I would say is, of course, we could go down an entire podcast here too of balance. But one thing you can do immediately to help improve your balance is stop swinging so hard. We talk about working on swinging fast. There's a difference between fast and hard. But if what you find is the main key driver to why you're going off balance is because you're swinging so hard, something as simple as just dialing it back the slightest bit might allow you to remain in balance. And you could we always say test like the extremes of this. One extreme could be just swing as hard as you physically can one time and just see what it does to your balance. You're going to notice that you're not, you're falling back, you're falling forward, whatever it may be. It'll expose those issues in your balance. But you'll also start to see how much easier it is to make a balanced swing when you just dial it back a little bit. So don't get sucked into that trap of swinging so hard. And here again, it highlights another reason why it happens with 3-woods. three wood, you're not usually hitting a finesse shot.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're trying to cover as much ground as you can. So if there's ever going to be a time you're going to swing a little too hard, it's with your three wood. So remind yourself, you've got a three wood in hand, but that doesn't mean you need to start to, as you call it, caveman swing.
Caveman swing.
Right? Put the same swing on it, that same kind of tempo and balanced kind of force, balanced, degree of hardness as you would with maybe like a 7-iron. Obviously, there's going to be more swing speed than a 7-iron because of the physics, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, this is something I need to work on so much. I was thinking of doing, those like super high-rise diving boards in like the Olympics?
Yes.
You know how I hate heights?
Yes.
I would just go stand up there with a wedge and just air swing at the edge, just over super smooth, keep my balance and not fall off that thing.
Oh
because
my God.
I need some type of training.
What I would do for the video of that.
The video of me climbing up there would be funny.
Yeah.
Because I would be scared the whole way up.
It was so funny too, because when you were just on with Michael Breed, he asked you, what are some of the weirdest places you practice your game?
Yeah.
And be like, yeah, on a diving board about 30 feet in the air.
Yeah.
Doesn't everybody, Michael?
Why didn't I have that one right?
Yeah, exactly. So like I said, if you do it, just record it.
Of course.
Another thing you can do is again, we always talk about focusing on fundamentals. One fundamental is making sure that ball is positioned in your stance properly. And we've said this before, there are so many variables in golf between, like I said, weather variables, land variables, all those types of things. There's so many variables that it can lead to inconsistency. Obviously, variables lead to inconsistency. So if you can remove some of those variables, there's the word, that you have control over, why not? So if you're finding that you're kind of haphazardly positioning that ball in your stance and it's in a way it's kind of moving around, that's a variable that you can eliminate by being more specific with where you place the ball. You can use reference points of like inside heel, different ways that you can do it. But one thing that seems kind of common with a lot of golfers is that they tend to have that ball in the three-wood stance a little bit too far forward. And the result of that is that, you end up kind of sometimes hitting behind it, and that can kind of throw your balance off. So we're not talking about a dramatic change. It might be like, one ball rotation or whatever, but try moving it back just a little bit. And we'll include in the show notes, as we always do, some of the visual content so you can take a look. But we've got in the article on Golficity, there's a great slow motion
Just keep
swing.
watching it over and over
Yeah,
again.
Adam Scott, and who has one of obviously the purest swings ever on the PGA Tour, just fundamentally so sound. And you see that he's got that ball for his three wood positioned pretty close to the middle of his stance.
Pretty close to the middle. 300-yard three wood in 12,000 frames per second slow-mo. It's like...
You don't
awesome
get
watching
much
this.
more crisp contact than he made
No,
there.
the way he strikes that ball.
It's just right at the absolute bottom of his swing. He takes all that power that he's generated from his turn, and he just be able to apply that all to the
look
ball.
where his head is at impact. Boom, it stays there.
Right.
Unbelievable.
And it's an incredible view of it. But you take a look at that, Mike, and then you wonder, like, if you were playing that, would the ball be a little bit more forward than where he has it?
It might be.
Yeah, I think for me, it's been, and that's something I need to take a look at.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just so used to putting that ball a little bit, not quite inside left heel like a driver, but like just right about there. And I'm going to experiment with moving it back a little bit and see if that does something for me.
Same.
Yeah.
I mean, after seeing that shot,
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
I mean, what I wouldn't do to swing like Adam Scott just once.
Mm-hmm.
And then another thing you can do is consider choking down on the club. And this is where you can immediately kind of put into effect and try. What's worked for me was shortening the club physically a little bit with a shorter shaft. But before you go, and I'm not saying that, again, fittings are so individualized. It's not one thing is right for everybody. Before you go and chop your shaft down, one thing you can do is you can just simulate that by just choking down a bit and see if it results in a cleaner strike. And yes, choking down, you're always going to lose a little bit more speed, but I think what you might be shocked with is the translation to how much distance is lost might not be nearly what you're thinking. So by choking down, let's say a half inch, an inch. Maybe you lose a couple mile an hour, 3-4 mile an hour swing speed. But I think what you'll end up doing is making up for that loss in swing speed with crisper contact, which will probably lead to a very similar distance. So if the fear that you're having of just choking down a bit is that you're going to end up having, a lot of lost distance, experiment with it. I think what you might see is a negligible amount of lost distance if, in effect, you're getting a cleaner strike out of it.
Yeah, it's certainly the easiest way to see if you need to shorten your clubs.
You
know? I mean, right? I mean, I've choked down on clubs before because I do like that hybrid length in my 3-wood.
Right.
Even though Kevin's, he didn't say chop it down. It's just, how do you feel about it? And I like to just choke down a little bit. It makes it feel a little bit smaller.
And ultimately, it will help you with the balance. It'll help you with the balance because if you think about it, if you would, again, go to the extreme and picture yourself holding a 10-foot pole in your hands and swinging it, and think about how hard it is to maintain balance with that weight that's extending so far away from your body. Obviously, these are minute differences in just an inch or 2 inches, but it's still a difference that your body has to adjust to. And as that weight gets further and further from you, the more off balance you can tend to become from it, especially the harder you swing. So by just shortening it up a little bit, not swinging quite as hard, what you may find is that you're able to stay more in balance. And now you're putting all these pieces of the pie together.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Mm-hmm. And if that balance point, the bottom point of your swing arc is kind of more towards the middle, back a little bit, that also puts that ball into play. But I think the last thing that we want to address here is, and it's an important thing, is that just because you have the club in your bag doesn't mean it's always going to be the right club at X distance.
Right.
So for example, if you say, that's my 250 club, if you're 250 out, you just pull it. That's something that is something as you progress and learn the game more and more, you realize that you really need to adapt what club you hit to the lie. The lie becomes so important. And when we see the PGA Tour week over week, you hear these guys talk about it. You hear them talking with their caddies. You see how much of the decision-making goes into the lie. So not every lie, even in the fairway, we're talking about hitting from the fairway, not every lie is created equal, and there's going to be some times when you're just going to have to pass on that 3-wood and hit a slightly shorter club. One big one is if that ball is sitting down too much. Sometimes you have like a depression in the fairway. You might have it where we've played some very uneven fairways where the ball is significantly below your feet, and what's going to happen is it's going to be hard to get that sweet spot on the club with the ball kind of sitting down like that. So in that way, yes, maybe be able to get away with a 3-wood. It might come out low, run towards the target. But just think, again, risk reward here. What's the difference? Does it benefit me to hit lesser club here?
Well, we proved it, right? We went back and did aggressive versus conservative.
Yeah.
We played a par 5 6 times, 3 ways going for it, 3 ways laying up. And with the going for it, it was driver 3-wood. And almost every single time we went for it, we scored better.
Yeah. But we were fortunate enough to have a lot of flat lies that we could put it on, a 3-wood. That's where, like I said, if you were in a spot where you just feel like, if you feel hesitating, like I can't get a good 3-wood swing on this.
Of course.
Just
I would
get
never
away
take
from
it out. Absolutely. That's where you take your lumps and hit like a 150-yard shot,
right.
Whatever.
One of my favorite things, one of my favorite authors, Dr. Joseph Parent, Zen Golf, he has what he calls an anyway. An anyway is any time you know somewhere in your gut that you're not making the right decision, but you do it anyway, right? It could be that you tee the ball, you stand over it, you realize it's not quite your preferred tee height, and you feel a little bit uncomfortable, but you don't really feel like re-teeing it, so you hit it anyway. Same type of thing might be, you get a feel, you stand over a ball, you just don't feel balanced, you just don't feel comfortable, but you want to move that ball a long way, and you're just like, you're sitting there and be like, I'm going to hit 3-wood anyway.
Yeah.
Those are ultimately often result in something that you don't want.
I had an anyway when I ordered my breakfast this morning.
Oh, yeah?
I knew it was wrong, but I got it anyway. It's one of those drive-through.
I actually had an anyway breakfast too today.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got it.
Today was the first day in as long as I can remember, because I rarely do this. I slept through my alarm.
That's unlike you.
Yeah. I was just lucky. I was wearing my Apple Watch, and it like tapped me and it's saying like, it's time to stand up. I think it thought I was awake. And I was like, what is it? And then I just ran out of the house.
There you go.
All right. So that's a big one. And then of course, sitting down, another one would be anytime that ball is on a severe slope. That slope could be in any direction. It could be downhill, side hill, anything like that is going to be harder, obviously, to hit a 3-wood. You can adjust as you would with any club, with your posture, with gripping down on the ball, whatever it may be, gripping down on the club. But again, it's sometimes in a lot of ways it outweighs the benefits at that point of hitting the 3-wood. If a ball is so high above your feet that you've got to grip all the way to the bottom of the grip to hit the 3-wood, to me, why even hit the 3-wood at that point? Right. I'm going to hit a 5-iron, a naturally shorter club that I don't have to grip, go down on it as far on the grip. But it's look, the reality is if you face the reality that a 3-wood, it can be a difficult club to hit. Why try to hit in a scenario where it would be difficult to hit any club? Not all lies are created equal.
Oh, absolutely. Do you have a moment like you could say like it was my best 3-wood shot that you could think? I'll give you a second to think. I'll give you mine. Remember with Brad Worthington, that par 5 where I hit the 3-wood out of the fairway and wrapped it around and got it right up to the front of the green.
Yeah.
And I actually posted it. It sounded like a cannon going off, and it just
yes,
all the way around.
Oh, I can't forget that shot because I remember I was filming it from high up on the hill, and just I could see that trajectory. It was so cool.
And it's so great when you hit a shot like that. And then on the flip side of that, West Lanks, when I used my 3-wood to fight the wind on a 160-yard par 3, and I put it to like 7 feet.
Yes, yes. West Lanks is one of the only places I remember us all hitting driver off the deck too.
Yes.
Because some places it just makes sense. It's so windy, and it was such a long, straight fairway. We're all like, they'll just hit driver and let it keep it really low. But for me, I mean, I think we both hit terrific 3-woods off the tee on 18 at Walk Hill, because I remember we did a 1-hole challenge.
That's
there.
Right.
We both hit pretty good 3. But there too, if I go back and I think about some of my best 3-wood shots with my old 3-wood, they're going to be off the tee, because that was how I was able to get the ball up in the air a little bit more.
Right.
Now I've readjusted and refit that club to hit it from the fairway more. But I every once in a while I would strike a clean and pure. You'd be oftentimes low, but there was one, I don't remember the course, but it was years ago. I hit probably my furthest 3-wood. It was like probably 275, which is good for me. Low, ran it up to the green, and I was just off the green for an eagle chip. Didn't chip it in, but you know what I mean. Like there's times that
I know where you were, Rivervale.
That could be it.
It was Rivervale. You had the eagle putt. You just missed it.
Just missed that
back of the green.
Yes, back of the green. This guy's memory is too good.
Rain Man.
Too good.
Yep.
So look, no matter what it is, if you needed to reach a par 4 green for your second shot, or if you're going for a par 5 into the 3-wood, it really can be a big ally. And ultimately, I remember Jen, who you guys may have seen if you watch the Scotland series. Jen, who works at Shot Scope, she played with us. She is a terrific golfer. I mean, she beat us up all week. But she was looking over my Shot Scope stats at one point to try to help me out. And she's like, Frank, this 3-wood is a big hole. You got to learn to hit this and hit it better. And that's the reality. If you learn to hit the club, it can be a big ally. We always say there's 14 clubs in your bag. That should be 14 tools that you know how to use. If you don't, it's underutilized. So try these techniques, practice with it. But another thing, like I said, practice with it. Think about this. Give yourself an honest look at your last couple of range sessions. How often did you really pull out the 3-wood at the range?
Right.
And if the answer is very little, then you really have to say, I can't fault myself for not hitting it well.
Yeah. I think that's why people don't take it out at the range.
Because they don't hit it well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to make a joke out of it. It is kind of true.
And it's true, but what does it do? It digs your hole deeper and deeper
100%.
because you don't hit it well, so you don't hit it, and you don't hit it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly. But here's the evidence of it. I went back and we were editing some videos, and I realized the round we played right after our driver fitting. I hit more fairways with my driver that round than I have in a very long time. And then I realized as part of the driver fitting, I had to go through something like 50 driver swings.
Yep.
And that was a fitting, yes. But think about if that was a concentrated practice session where I went and just worked on that club, and I immediately saw results because I got the familiarity. I put the time in with it. Same type of thing. I can almost guarantee that if I had the discipline to go to the range and do a 3-wood session, I'm going to be more comfortable than hit the 3-wood. And an example too is the hybrid. When I first put the hybrid in my bag, didn't want to hit it, had no confidence in it, but then I put some work in, some practice work in, and now it's causing me to hit it more and more. And as I hit it more, the more I hit it, the better I play with it.
Right.
Think about it. Why do you think you hit your 7-iron so well? It's because you practice with it. You warm up with it. You're so familiar and so comfortable with it. So if you want the 3-wood to become that club, you have to spend some time with it. Go on a couple 3-wood dates.
Go on some 3-wood dates.
Yeah. Take her out to dinner.
Romance that 3-wood.
Right. And then you'll see. It'll work. Anyway,
golf dating advice.
Golf dating. We are the match.com of golf. Anyway, that is everything we have for you guys this week. You can get to the show notes by going to golficity.com/episode 359, which I encourage you to do so. There's a great article on Golficity, which we will link to, which is where a lot of the points that we talked about here came from. Talking about how to hit your 3-wood cleanly. And in there, you'll see some of those video assets. Like, again, you got to take a look at Adam Scott's swing there. I think it's such a great example of a good, balanced swing. So give that a look. Again, that's episode 359. Or as always, you can get it in the Golficity app for Android and iOS, which is free to download. I encourage you guys to check it out. Put a lot of love into it, and it's always working on getting better. So again, that's everything we have for you guys this week. Thanks as always for tuning in, and we'll see you again next week.